And we're live, just like
Okay,
that.
we are. We are. No, Michael, did you see the? Did you see me just waving you that we're live? Or
You look remarkably alive.
thank you. Good way to look. I like it much better than the. How are you, Michael? Night down there in Pasadena.
Good morning. Nikki Haley's going to be doing radio in L.A. Did you know the Marullo Group, which is a radio group, took a page from the Nikki Haley book. This week, they fired their midday hosts in 5 formats, including soul, top 40 hits, KLOS, the AOR station, fired all their midday 10 to 2 personalities, and they're just going to go with a jockless format.
Well,
The Republicans are doing the same thing. They're getting rid of everybody except the morning man, the crazy morning man that they can't be corralled, and he'll take the rest of the format into the toilet with him.
well, good for them. It really, with radio stuff, man. I'm like, nothing surprises me. Like the presidential election, nothing surprises me. You could tell me today that Mitch McConnell, after Donald Trump, President Slapdick, insulted his wife in public, racist names, you could tell me that that McConnell will turn around and endorse Trump for president. You could tell me that, and I'd almost believe you.
Would you believe that your girlfriend, Kirsten Sinema, is out of politics?
I'm heartbroken, man. Well, I don't know if she's out of politics. She's certainly going to give up her Senate seat. And I got to tell you something. I could not be sadder. And I think people that observe and like fashion couldn't be sadder. I mean, listen, a body of people in 400 and whatever it's 35 people that seem to have no fashion sense. She was star. She knew how to walk down the aisle. She knew how to wear it at the State of the Union that was going to knock people out of their chairs. She knew how to do that.
As I said yesterday to Kristen, she has the taste of a stevedore.
No! Don't be insulting Kristen, or else I won't endorse you for president. I mean, that's my she's my little heartbeat, man.
She plays both ends against the middle, thanks to her that there are higher prescription drugs, that there is no ability to control women's reproductive rights. Thanks to her, the many votes in the Senate went down in ugliness and recriminations and finger pointing and unnecessary hue and cry. There you go. She was a untrustworthy politician at the best of times.
Are you going to tell me now that they're all trustworthy?
I'm telling you that she was untrustworthy to her own party.
And they all are, Michael. I mean, tell me a politician. Yeah, see. I mean, it was maybe I trust Joe Biden a little bit, but I don't even know that I trust him.
And what was it that Kristen Sinema did except violate all her
eye candy, man? She's nothing eye candy.
Well, then let her get a talk show at midday. Let her go on the Channel 4 here in Los Angeles from 4 to 5.
She's just
because she can bring on her guests and savage them.
She's a pure object of admiration, of physical like. You know, that if I got in a room with her, that I would want to do it for more than 5 minutes. But he's good looking. So for me, as a single older guy, he floats my boat. she's a cutie. It's not objectifying her. It's nothing against women. I love smart women. I don't know that I'd marry the cinema. I don't know that I'd even want to go out on a date with her. But I know that when she crosses the screen, she looks good. She looks different than everybody else there. She looks like an individualist, and that will give me grounds at least to start a conversation with her.
Well, I won't miss her or her Holstein dress.
I will definitely miss her, Michael. Definitely miss her, and her, and what we're going to get in place of her. Are you
Maybe
kidding?
maybe somebody whose vote you can rely on.
Yeah, Carrie Lake is what
Carrie Lake is the Republican candidate. There's a Democratic candidate that's going to beat her. Carrie Lake came out of local television and is out of her mind.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think anybody is entirely sure. And we can say it now, but the reality is nobody knows what's coming in November. Nobody knows what's going to happen. You have half of this country that, well, a third of this country didn't care if President Slapdick gets indicted, and kid, he could run the place from jail, and they don't. That's
his supporters. You're absolutely right that's what his supporters believe. However, the math is not looking good for Trump, and here's why. He lost the last election in 2020 by 7.5 million votes. Right now, his support has eroded by 25%. I know Nikki Haley kept saying 35 or 40%, but that's not the case. The combined vote for her across the nation in all the Super Tuesday states never amounted to more than 25%, closer to 23. Yeah. So Trump losing 23% of his support when he was already behind by 7.5 million votes puts him in a place where he cannot win statistically. And it's up to Joe Biden to make sure that holds. Well, that's his challenge.
There's your problem.
Well, yeah, but the 25% is already subtracted from the 7.5 behind that he was behind to begin with. So you show me how he's going to do the catching up.
You could show me polls and numbers and figures all day, Michael.
Well, the polls say the opposite. The polls say Trump's up by 2 to 4 points.
I know that when I hear people and I talk to people, and you drive outside of Seattle proper, that you see Trump signs all over the place. I know that there's a disenchantment with Joe Biden that I've never seen in a sitting president except for Nixon. I don't know why, to be honest with you. I mean, if you look at his record, what he's done is far more. Let me take that back. What he's done for the average person is far more than maybe 2 or 3 presidents before him. I mean, Obama did healthcare. Will always be remembered for healthcare. Didn't do a lot of clunkers. He got people $4 for a $100 car. That's what he did. Biden, down the price of prescription drugs, has put in an infrastructure bill. It has people working, has been hugely responsible for bringing jobs back to America, manufacturing jobs.
And what is the unemployment rate?
The unemployment rate is down. The economy is running like a fine-tuned 396. I mean, it's, everything is poised to be good. We've become the country that has it better than anybody else. Always complaining about how bad we have it.
Angry white guys are complaining about it.
Yeah, we see people. We see a amount of people complaining about how bad it is. And they want to blame who really his only sin is that he's too old. And as Casey Stengel once said, I got fired for being 74 years old. I promise you I'll never be 74 again.
Never make that mistake again.
Yeah. other than that, how is Biden so wrong? What is he doing that's so wrong? Not only that, but the guy gets up every morning for the past 2 years, over 2 years, and has kept the world from blowing up.
With a slight miscalculation with his good friends in Benjamin Netanyahu's front office.
Well, everybody's making mistakes, but he doesn't have it. It's not a world war over there yet. Do you think that, and I'm not even going to say just Trump, do you think that 90% of the people in Congress that might have the possibility of becoming president would be able to do that?
Not Mike Johnson, not Mitch McConnell, not
No,
Ted Cruz,
do that.
not Mario. That's the senator from Florida.
Oh,
wanted to be president.
Mario
Mario
Rubio.
Rubio. Right.
Yeah, no, none of them, nobody.
And not Kristen Sinema.
With the possible exception, Jeb Bush, because he's grown up around politics. He's grown up in that type of possible exception of Bush. Nobody else that was running for president could have kept a lid on this powder keg. And that's not to say it's going to keep going like that.
But they're running out of people to kill.
Well, the whole place is parking lot yet. And that's what could have easily happened here. Easily could have happened. And we're seeing what you're going to get from the Republican side on the fact that they're not going to help Ukraine more. A year ago, we were all about helping Ukraine. Now, and I don't disagree that we should know where the money's going and we should see things, but you don't just jump out on your neighbors like that, on your friends like that.
Republicans don't have friends. They don't have alliances. They don't have meaningful relationships with anybody except the Führer.
But
and they have no independent thought of their own. They have to do what they're told. They have to think what they're told. They have to act as they're told.
Well, I think the Democrats do it to some extent too. I think we're making a mistake here, or at least I don't know.
I think you're making a mistake of equating the two. When the Democrats put together a bill that would have funded all the problems of the Middle East and the Ukraine, and it was shut down, when they put together a bill that would have solved the border crisis with a stringent plan that was even distasteful to some Democrats, and all of it was torpedoed by the Republican Party at the behest of Donald Trump.
Right.
People without independent thought, people whose vote means nothing until they're told how to vote.
They serve Donald Trump not as a loyal army of people are looking to make politically. They serve him as an army of vengeance. They serve Donald as an army of people who want to get even for whatever's happened to them over the years. Whether a cook is 50 cents more in the soup bucket, or whether they put a traffic circle in down there block, and they'll blame Biden for that. Is Biden? No. You like an alternative to vote for Biden?
They put on their suit, go to work, and say, "What does the leader want me to do? What do you want me to do?"
Right. We are in a country where we have more than anybody. Plus, we have freedom. And if you don't know what it looks like, jump on a plane and fly down to Cuba and walk around
Nicaragua, Honduras.
People go to any South American country. Go to places like Brazil where kidnapping is an industry. There's no law and order, and slapdick wants you not to set an example of I follow the law. He wants to set an example of I do what I want to do because I'm Donald Trump.
And you're going to endorse it regardless of what it is.
And at the very root of it, is the fact that you have guys like Mitch McConnell who know what Donald Trump is. He knows what he is. He's no savior to anybody, but will stand up there and endorse it. The guy called his wife out,
He'll take his medicine.
and he'll just stand there. If I were Elaine Chao, I would like be out my bags packed when I got home. When Mitch got home. I've had wives leave me for life. It's amazing. It's the destruction of things. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I follow the letter all the time. But what we have here, Michael, what we have here is the end of life. You know what I think? I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
You're cutting in and out a lot, Ben. I'm having trouble with your audio.
Yeah, it's up to the. Can you hear it okay now?
That's a little better, yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, it seemed like it was a streaming problem, not a technical problem.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah, this bit. Yeah, I mean, you're at the mercy of the internet here.
you don't think Steve Garvey has got anything to do with this, do you?
I don't know what he's got anything to do with. He just looks like, I got nothing against Steve Garvey except the fact that he was a Dodger. And
Between the LA Times and the San Francisco Chronicle, they describe him as one, a candidate ready for the slaughter, and the other one was that he will be sacrificed by the Republican Party to Adam Schiff.
I don't know, man. I wonder why you would put somebody like up who I don't know. Maybe he's got answers to the problems. I've watched a bunch of debates. I watched his speech last night, and I didn't see anything there that tells me. I mean, he's sitting up there saying about, you throw me a fastball, and I'll show you. You can watch me run around the bases. Well, boy, that makes me feel good about the homeless people. That makes me feel good about why people are pouring out of California. Makes me feel good about the roads getting fixed, water getting shut down. That all makes me feel good. I've seen his debates. He brings nothing to the table.
He's not going to have
makes
this.
Tuberville look educated.
You might as well write him off now. He's done. And the interesting thing is, he lights up the room like a 25-watt bulb. It's not like he's a dynamic guy that is fighting against intolerable odds and was never going to win as a Republican. No Republicans won since 2006 in the statewide order of things. Steve Garvey, whatever you want to think about him as a baseball player, he had brought none of that to his political career. He's a cipher, virtually 3 zeros. He's hitting 0013.
Where does he stand on? Where does he stand on protecting women's rights?
Whatever Donald Trump says. Just refer to Donald Trump as Steve Garvey's answer to everything. Whatever Donald Trump says, that's what I think. Or as Mickey Mantle used to say, I pretty much agree with everything Casey just said.
Yeah, this is
Vinnie? No audio from you.
How about now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. As I was saying, you're not going to get. I mean, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get help from anywhere else. It's going to be totally dependent on the people. And even then, we don't know how many people are in place to screw everything up from any side, but especially from the Republicans who have been smart enough over the past 4 years or 8 years to fill all of these offices that nobody wants. These different election offices and so on and so forth that people generally don't want. And on top of it, you have poll workers that don't want to poll work anymore because they don't want to put up with the bull that that you have to put up with.
Well, you're right in some instances, but last night on all the networks, they interviewed poll workers at all the Super Tuesday states: California, Maine, Massachusetts, Iowa, Utah, even American Samoa. And there were dedicated poll workers with experience working in all those states, in all the major cities, in all the counties, doing the work that needed to be done. So, although they've been under fire from the Trump administration and the people who followed the President Slapdick, as you like to call him, there were people that were doing their jobs professionally and reliably last night. And states like Colorado, where they have early voting and mail-in voting, they had 90% of the count done when they did their first postings. Now, bigger states like California had enough votes counted immediately to tell you who was going to lead and what the prospects were for projected winners. But other states had all the numbers at hand, 95% of the vote in when they made their first postings, because of the sophisticated means by which they tabulate the votes and announce the winning candidates without lawsuits, without Fox News coming up with their own idea about how reality is, without Rudy Giuliani and his minions trying to weaken our resolve in believing the results. It was all right there to show you that the precision with which we put together our votes and announce the winners, and even in the closest of races, is there if we allow the system to work and the people to do it. So that showed me that despite all the criticism and all the fear mongering about poll workers in Georgia, the people who worked on the election last night did a wonderful job, and the results were there for everyone to see and never retracted, and not always in line with what the polls said was going to happen, but what the numbers said actually did happen. I was impressed.
Yeah. Listen, I am a poll worker and have been a poll worker, so I know the dedication of people, but I also know that people are getting threatened. There are people who have said, "I don't need this anymore," and they've left. Just the same as people who are in the Senate and in Congress have said, "I don't need this anymore." I'm believing they don't pay poll workers enough money for them to go through the kind of hassle that that they go through to do their jobs. It shows how dedicated they are that you had that situation last night. I hope it will be the same for
The general
election. You have people who I was listening to an interview with the Colorado state clerk, I guess she was, and and she was talking about how she had gotten over 500 threats since the news came out that Colorado wanted to try to take Donald Trump off the ballot. She says that there's hardly a day when her office doesn't get some kind of threat, and there's enough bizarre people in Colorado, as there are in many states, to make something like that happen. Do we forget the Gretchen Whitmer situation in Michigan where these people were ready to go and kidnap her?
They were on the road.
So I'm just saying that it's not easy to be an election official these days. You're under scrutiny from the press. You're under scrutiny from the people. You're under scrutiny from the media. And then you have candidates who don't want to accept an election, who say that you don't know what you're doing, even when you know what you're doing. And then you have idiots to pick up the phone and want to kill you.
And the Republican point of view is, if we lose the race, that proves we won it.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't show up the next day and say, wait a minute, the 49ers won that game.
And what's your proof? Well, you say they lost. That's all the proof we need. The fix was in.
Yeah, I think it's. I feel bad for our country and the election workers because, as I said, they don't make a lot. They sit there all day. They try to make the election run as smoothly as possible. You do the job because you're interested in public service. You do the job because you want to give back to your community. That's why you do the job. Nobody does it because they're going to get rich doing it. You have to take abuse from people, but you also get to meet some really nice people. You get a chance to help people who might not be able to vote otherwise vote. I always remember when the precinct that I worked in Pennsylvania, when I was the inspector of elections in that district.
What was the name of the precinct?
In Scott Township, Pennsylvania. It was we had this bus full of people that would come, and they were from a I don't know what a resident home, and some of them had different kinds of disabilities. And I was talking to the bus driver, and the bus driver said, "Well, there's been years where they didn't want to let us vote. As a matter of fact, I even heard the lady at the table next to me, who was one of the people who would check you in, start to question their right to vote." That's not your job. Your job is to make sure that they're registered and get up and get your ass up out of your seat and help them get over to the voting booth and vote for who they want to vote for.
Had the leader told her to check everyone and question their ability
to check everyone in. That you go ahead, that these people are on the register,
on the roll,
and so they are to be checked in. And you ought to give them any kind of assistance you can to help them vote.
And we got that straightened out.
And that got straightened out. And I told the bus driver, I remember, I never forget it, I said to him, "You always make sure that they come back here. That this is where they're supposed to vote, and this is where they are going to be welcome to vote. You bring them at any time. I don't care if it's 5:00 in the afternoon, 6:00 in the morning. Whenever you can get them here, you get them here. And they will be welcomed. Because that's what it's about. These people have as much of a right to vote as anybody else, unless a court says that they're incompetent to vote." And so those are the things that
being incompetent to vote is not something that everybody can see working in our society right now. Those that are too incompetent to even hold citizenship are the most vocal and outgoing.
You got people in our society right now that don't know where World War II was fought.
And don't care.
People in our society now that have no concept that people went over to Europe and fought in Europe so that we have that right to vote. And so when I tell you that it's all in the hands of the people right now, that could be the most worrisome thing of all.
And so many people are proud of their ignorance, absolutely bursting with pride over it.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know how they could be proud of it, but they are. I agree with you. There are people that that the stupider they are, the less they feel it. Yeah, stupider
Yeah,
they are, the less they feel. I'm
it
not even
gives
sure I
them
had that right,
their
but
stupidity protects them from reality.
well, yeah, it's like when you're in so much pain after God forbid you get into an accident and you're in so much pain that you're not worried about one specific place because you hurt all over. You just want to be put out of your misery. Drug me up. I don't care. I'm in pain. Well, same thing with being stupid, I think, is that you're so dumb that you don't realize what the world is out there. And whose fault is that? You know, I guess there's a lot of places you could point your finger. But we certainly got to do something about it. And I don't think that the Republicans are going to offer us the chance to do something about it. I think if we're talking about education and paying teachers and educating people and getting people smarter than they are, I think the Democrats are going to do that. And we can't afford to get any stupider. I don't think. Do you? I mean, can we afford to get any stupider as a nation?
This is one of the low points in our society in terms of the well-being of the individual. They just don't know who they are anymore, and they're comforted with anger and resentment and waiting for a strong man. That's what they keep talking about, Trump. Picturing him as a strong man who's going to solve the problems of the nation and break the law if he has to, but somebody's got to do it. And the conventional wisdom among the Republican Party is we're going to be more vicious than we are. We're going to be more controlling than we are. We're going to be more unpredictable than we are. We're going to be more chaotic than we are. We're going to intensify and double down and exceed our awfulness by 20% each year until the entire process ends in tragedy, which is what I've been predicting since Trump got elected. I always thought that he would just run his limousine into a palm tree. I think we're past that.
Well, if you don't think that January 6th was a tragedy, I mean
It's a
you were
tragedy, but
spot
it's
on.
not. But it's not. It's still not over. How does
You
it
were
end?
spot on. I don't know how you can how, but again, we're so we're just so we don't want to investigate anything. We don't want to take the time. We have more information at our fingertips than ever before, and we don't want to look at anything. We just want to believe what somebody tells us on YouTube, believe what somebody says on Fox News, believe what somebody says on CNN, and just leave it there. And that's what I believe. We're being told what to believe. And too many people are going, yeah, that's okay. I'm too lazy to think about it. I'm too worried about my boat. Am I going to get my boat? I'm too worried about getting my new couch. I'm too worried about getting, uh, a raise at work. I'm too worried about the stuff that goes on in front of me and not concerned about the stuff that goes around me. People will say, well, I don't care who the president is. My life isn't going to change.
There's the height of ignorance right there.
Yeah. And I think as I look at the time that Donald Trump has spent as president, I just see how the country got nothing done.
The interesting thing is, given his lack of production in the past, all he does is talk about it, and his ability to even prepare remarks now is becoming seriously eroded. And candidates like Steve Garvey and a variety of other empty suits are not going to make it any better. They're only going to make it easier for him in the short run, but in the long run, when your life is based on chaos and keeping the ball in the air, the end result is you can't juggle that way for long, especially when you're Donald Trump. And the bottom has to fall out of his support, of his programs, of his speeching, of his positions, of his lack of platform, of his inability to produce. Now his inability to even raise the money that he needs to run for president is in question.
Well, it doesn't seem to be falling out on him yet. I mean, he almost had a clean sweep. His only opposition, who actually was, I mean, I don't know that I'm a big Nikki Haley fan, but she seemed to me to be a darn sight better than him. If you had to elect somebody president between Trump and Haley, Haley, you get my vote 10 out of 10.
I think to win, she would have said anything. But regardless of what position she took, she couldn't gain in the polls. If she had found something that was going to give her an edge, she would have followed it.
Well, there was something. She found what gave her an edge, and she didn't use it until the last waning moments of her campaign, and that was to attack Trump.
Which is easy to do.
To show him what he was. But I'm sure she saw that Chris Christie, who came out of the box doing that, had like 10% of the vote.
And she had
so that wasn't going to get him traction. It's a cult, Michael. You don't deal with it the same way you deal with an election.
And all cults end in one way when it's time for the Kool-Aid. All cults end that way.
Or whatever.
And that's the tragedy that I'm talking about. I can't see the end of it. I can't tell you how it's going to happen, but we're approaching it, and it will end in tragedy.
Well, it's I don't see how it ends good right now. Now maybe it will. Maybe people will, between now and November, wake up. Maybe a certain amount of people will say, this is not how we want the country to run. This is not who we want leading our country. This is not the guy we want as a role model. Yes, a role model. Because this is the one time, in sports radio, we always used to say, well, you can't, don't use a player as a role model. The role models in our life are the presidents and, all of these kind of people, your local priests and your local this. Well, those institutions are going by the wayside pretty quickly.
As fast as they can.
And so who are the role models now? Who are the people that you look up to and say, I'd like to be like that guy?
It depends what state you live in.
Yeah.
North Carolina, you got a black guy who's a Holocaust denier, who's in the lead for running for governor. So there's your role model.
Again,
there's your a man out of touch with reality who's in the position of power.
It's up to the people. The people are going to have the choices as they always ultimately do. I mean, as much as Slapdick stood up there and screamed and hollered and almost cost this country, he cost the country dearly. As much as you saw that, I mean, really, it worked out that Biden, took the office, and he came into office and he did what he needed to do.
He took the ivermectin. No, he didn't actually.
Yeah, he did what he needed to do. He got this country pointed in the right direction after one of the worst things that this country has ever been through. And whether you want to go with, yes, it was all necessary, no, it wasn't all necessary, whatever you believe. The point is that he got the country going in the right direction. This could have been a disaster.
It was a disaster.
And he and the Fed and the people he has around him, for the most part, were able to point the country in the right direction.
With the Republicans dragging their feet, pointing him in any direction but the right direction, playing the chaos card over and over again, and bringing people like the senator from West Virginia and Kyrsten Sinema right along with them in the wake of their ineffectual, mean-spirited, anti-government positioning on everything, whether it be the cost you pay for a prescription or the independent decisions women make in America about their own health care. Those two issues alone will lose the contest for Trump right there.
Well, I'm not. I hope so. I'm just not convinced of it yet. Maybe I'll get more convinced of it as we barrel toward the election. I think tomorrow night will be very interesting to see how Biden comes out and what he says in the State of the Union address.
It better be fiery.
Well, he better not stumble his way through it.
That's right.
I don't care if it's fiery or not, but I want to see somebody come out and give an assessment of where this country is and where he can take the country.
Clear and concise without fumbling.
I want to see a plan, because that's where, and maybe it's the thing that makes me wonder about the Republicans the most. What's the plan?
To follow.
What's the roadmap? What are your plans? Give me 5 things that you're going to do. Not be a dictator on the first day.
Can't give you a list of things we're going to do. We just give you a list of things that we're concerned about, angry about. That's the best we can do, man. We're Republicans.
Well, we better get on the stick and start to think about what we need to do to make this country better. And how in the world do we shake off some of this animosity?
Now you're dreaming. Now you're talking about the root causes of the whole thing, and those are never going to be relinquished by the angry white guys. Angry white guys are not going to come to the table and say, "Why don't we all just get a pizza and talk it out?"
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I don't know how you fix that, but what will fix it?
Time and death. They have to die off.
Yeah.
It's just like the Confederate Army got old and died.
Well, I hope that I hope better days are coming. I hope I hope against hope that better days are coming, because it's depressing
And the Supreme Court's going to have a lot to say about what kind of days those might be, Vinny.
Well, yeah, they seem to have a lot to say about things lately, don't they?
It's an ugly scorecard. Looking ahead, one can't be too confident that the Supreme Court is going to do anything other than endorse the Führer.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable winning streak that Trump is on when it comes to legal stuff right now. I mean, it's almost like you'd think he would have that he appointed the court or something.
Yeah, you think he did? Yeah,
you think that he put those guys up there for just such a situation. But he wouldn't have done that, would he? Mitch McConnell. What a joke.
Justice Gorsuch, there's a joke. Samuel Alito, there's a joke.
What a joke. What an absolute maroon.
Clarence Thomas, what a pathetic joke.
And yet we sit there and we're worried about inflation. We're worried about that milk cost 10 cents more now than it did last year, or whatever it is. Never thinking that part of what's going on is that a good piece of what's going on is that people will pay a price for anything, and that's what drives inflation up. The fact that people will go and spend $1,500 for a fourth row seat at a Bruce Springsteen concert, you think that doesn't affect the price of milk? You think when the milk companies look at that and say, well, if these people spend $1,500 on a ticket to sit in the fourth row at a rock and roll show, what the hell is another 25 cents on a gallon of milk, or another $1 on a gallon of gasoline?
Reduce the weight in your potato chip bag and charge more.
Yeah, what's the difference? We're easily bamboozled. So maybe that 20-ounce beer is now a 14-ounce beer, and we'll charge you 50 cents more for it.
Because there's a sucker born every minute.
Because they'll keep buying it. It's not the president's fault or Congress's fault. That's your fault for paying that price. It's your fault for saying, I'll pay $1,500 to go to a Bruce Springsteen show or a Taylor Swift show or whoever, pick your artist. That's what that's about. I don't know. It's
if there's a sucker born in every minute, the part 2 to that is never give a sucker an even break.
Well,
and so that has become the American credo for doing business within the 48 contiguous states. There's suckers being born as fast as they can get on the planet. Never give one an even break.
Well, and I mean, when you think about it, so many people today just don't care about the rules and regulations. Again, you have people who will come to your house and bid on a job, take a deposit on it, and never show up again.
Not uncommon.
Because they know that if they get caught, what's going to happen?
Nothing.
Maybe they'll suspend their license to do work in that jurisdiction, so they'll move to another jurisdiction
where their reputation is unknown.
You have an auto mechanic, and he's going to screw somebody, or a car dealer, and they're going to screw somebody because they know it can be done. and they know that the retribution is not going to be there. That if you get hauled into court or before some kind of tribunal that regulates the industry you're in, what's going to happen? You're going to get a lawyer. You're going to beat it. You're going to settle out of court. You're going to pay somebody off. You're going to move your garage to another jurisdiction and open up and put the business in your son's name or your wife's name or somebody else's name.
Put it in Eric Trump's name.
So you have a combination of things. And again, I don't know what's going to fix it. But at some point, somebody is going to have to stand up and fix it. And I don't think it's going to get fixed, really, by Biden or Trump. Definitely not by Trump.
Well, we got a Congress that is becoming known as the do-nothing House of Representatives, led by Mike Johnson. In fact, even when they're poised to do something, they're told to do nothing by their leader, and they respond by doing exactly what he says.
And if not, they can find a judge who's sympathetic. Even if Congress did something, they can find a judge that's sympathetic to say, well, yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea. And one judge can hold up the entire country. They got
shut it down.
The FCC passed a consumer protection bill.
That doesn't sound right.
For automotive ripoffs. And the Texas Dealers Association went to court in Texas, where else, and got them to got an injunction against the Federal Trade Commission.
We want to keep misleading and cheating the good people of Texas
against the law. And what the law basically said is, when you go to buy a car, you can't have add-ons. You got to sell the car at the price it's advertised at. And unless the consumer wants the add-ons, you can't put them in a contract. You can't dupe people. You can't initiate financing from a dealer where you get a kickback on it.
But that's our business. We're dupers.
And the Texas Dealers Association went to court and said, well, we don't need that. That's going to take away our business.
We can't make any money on the price of the car. Without the add-ons, we can't have a profit.
Yeah, we're in the business of duping people.
We're the dupers.
And the judge in Texas agreed with him and said, we're going to put a hold on this law. So it not only affects Texas, but it affects the entire country, because it's a federal judge, it's a federal law. So now the entire country is devoid of consumer protection on this issue because one judge says.
Institutionalized cheating.
And why is that? Because much the same as gun control, the auto dealers, the National Auto Dealers Association, spends a lot of money to make Congress people comfortable.
And they get their money by cheating customers.
And
can't contribute to your candidacy, Senator, if I can't cheat my customer.
So people fall victim to scams and things that dealers can get away with. And it's not just car dealers. I mean, it's across the board. There's no fear of enforcement in this country.
Or no standards to enforce, if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's just, everybody screams law and order. Nobody screams law and order more than Donald Trump. And how many indictments does he have against him? He doesn't follow the law, does he?
He follows the bouncing continuance.
He follows Donald Trump. He does what he wants. And I don't know that you survive like that.
That's why I say it'll end in an ugly and perhaps unexpected way.
It'll be in the hands of people, Michael. That's where it's going to be. It's going to be
Not
in the
unless,
hands of people.
not unless they vote.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's to me, that's the best thing you can do. And you just hit the nail on the head. The best thing you can do to help your country right now is to make sure that people go and vote in the presidential election.
And if you're a Dodger fan, keep your retired players out of politics. Do the right thing. Keep your damn players out of politics.
Now, if Garvey was a Giant, would have you felt any better about him?
If he voted for Trump twice, I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't get the fascination with having ex-athletes and ex-coaches and this and that go into politics. I mean, I know it happens, it's been happening for years, and there's a certain amount of name recognition that you need in politics, and they have it.
Ball 4 by Brosnan. He managed to bankroll that book into a political career.
I'm sorry, who again?
Brosnan, the pitcher.
Brosnan.
Who wrote Ball 4?
Oh, Boughton.
Boughton.
Oh, I don't know. He had a political career. He had a television career. I know he was on he was a sportscaster.
No, he was in
Congress. Are you thinking of Jim Bunning?
Perhaps.
Yeah, Jim Bunning, who later became a senator from Kentucky, I believe.
And a conservative.
Yeah.
What is it about baseball players that after their careers they go off the deep end in terms of their politics?
Well, no, yeah. I mean, you have and listen, everybody got a right to their politics. I don't if
how's that working out for you?
One guy believes, if that's what you believe, if that's what you think, then go ahead. But get in it for the right reasons. Get it because you want to serve people. Not that you want to lead the league in selfies.
Or capitalize on being wrong. Capitalize on getting it wrong.
Well, I think it's commendable that people want to go into politics and to help people, as long as that's what you're going into politics for, to help people.
I don't think that's their motivation then.
But many times, many days, we see people that are going into politics not because they want to help people, because they want to expand their internet social media presence.
I can vote in a certain way to make life worse for you. How would you like that? I can make your life worse. I'm in a position to do it. I refer you once again to Kirsten Sinema.
Well, again, she's far from the only one. There is a large amount of people who are in this solely because they want to be stars, because they want to collect the money, with George Santos probably being your biggest example of it. It was a guy that just decided, I could scam more people if I'm in Congress than I could scam anywhere else. And it took him a year to get rid of him.
And the government and the GOP did not do that. It was the vote sponsored by the Democrats who finally got him out. The Republicans were absolutely comfortable with him because they could control his vote.
Well, yeah, that was the thing, is that they, the majority that they hold in Congress is so tight that 3 or 4 votes make a difference. And when they lost Santos, or if at the time when they thought they were going to lose Santos, yeah, it makes it tougher on them. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Michael. I know that spring training is in full tilt boogie. I know that the sun is shining today here for the first time in a while. The
Oh, the
birds are
Boyds.
chirping.
Yeah, I know it. The Boyds.
The sun is shining. The birds are chirping, and I'm alive. So I'm going to get out and smell some of the fresh air and expand my lungs, and then go see the doctor this afternoon. Because I thought, what else could you do on a beautiful day but go to the doctor's office?
Well, on that comforting note, let's meet again on a wacky Wednesday. Well, no, today's Wednesday.
Today's
Freaky
Wednesday.
Friday.
Let's meet on Friday. A
Let's
fractious
do that.
Friday.
And I hope it's fractious. I hope it's
Yeah, I hope we have better things to throw out there. But I think one thing that's clear cut as we leave the show today is that it's Biden versus Trump, and nobody is going to change that at this point.
Netanyahu's got to come around on a ceasefire. We should expect that this week if he has any sense at all. He has no pride. He has no self-respect. He has no personal integrity. So he's just got to do the right thing out of expediency.
Yeah, yeah. He's quickly becoming responsible for genocide, and I don't care how sympathetic you want people to be toward your cause. When you start to kill those amounts of people, people get unsympathetic very quickly.
It's already happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Doesn't take long.
No.
And yeah, the world is a ghetto, as they once, as the group War once so eloquently put.
And they got a hit out of it too.
Yes, they did. All right, Mikey. I will see you on
Freaky
Friday.
Friday.
Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Until then, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. See you then.
Take care, Mikey. See you on Friday. Thank you all for listening, too. Really appreciate it.